Hey everyone, Tinman here. I'm back with some more Dota Underlords. We're going to be playing some ranked standard mode here up in Lord of Whitespire. We've got a pair of Drow Rangers on turn 1. That is a great start. And I also think I'll pick up the Earth Spirit and the Tusk for some tanky front line up in front of them. Now, Earth Spirit has been recently buffed. His Geomagnetic Grip is now an 8-second cooldown. That is dramatically lower. It used to be like 20 seconds or 18 seconds. I think it was 20, 18, 16 at 1, 2, and 3 star. And so this is a massive buff to this Earth Spirit recently, and you know, I think maybe that'll lead me a little bit closer to some spirits if possible. My opponent has it's kind of funny. They actually have a 2-star Crystal Maiden and a 1-star Legion Commander, which does in fact give them the Warrior Alliance, or the Human Alliance rather. But they can only play 2 units because that costs 5 gold between the two combined, so they can't even play a 3rd unit. And so Legion Commander almost fed a dual win away to the Earth Spirit, but could not quite do that. But we take the win anyway. But they've got a 2-star Crystal Maiden, so that is going to be potentially a bit of a problem going forward if they end up on like some kind of mage build. That being said, in terms of what item, I'm not really thrilled about Ogre Cap anymore. I think Voidstone has a lot of uses in a lot of different builds. There's almost never a build that doesn't want it. And especially if we're looking at spirits, like just having that spirit kind of like made me think about it. You know, like, oh, I want to play, you know, some sort of a spirit-based build that is going to want that extra mana. And that's why this Crystal Maiden was like kind of concerning to me, is that there may be somebody else on human mages. We do find the Pudge, so we do get like some Heartless Hunters, which is another great build. We may end up towards that, or you know, with this Earth Spirit. Already having a pair of them, that may be a direction we go as well. Or just like some kind of warrior build, which would be kind of weird because I haven't really seen too many, you know, 6 warrior builds in particular have not really been a thing that are very common. Alright, so we take a loss here, take 1 damage, but that doesn't give us a free reroll. We got a couple pairs, so maybe we can complete some of those pairs and see where we want to go with this build. Well, we can find another mage, maybe towards a mage style build. Not really looking at savages. Let's take a reroll. We do find another Tusk, which is kind of the warrior, and also a Wind Ranger, if I want more hunters here. You know, Morphling is kind of a lower priority hunter, especially if we're looking, or sorry, a lower priority mage, especially if we're looking at spirits. He just wouldn't make the cut. And the fact that I want to buy this Wind Ranger, I can go clear up that space. I'll just pick up an Arc Ward and just keep options open. Towards like maybe a Summoner Savage build. I know we passed up on the Magnus, but like 4 Savages pairs pretty well with 4 Summoners. I think it's a very strong early and mid-game composition. I do think it falls off quite a bit in the later stages of the game. Doesn't really have the great transition to the very late game that a lot of other builds do. A Summoner build, just because so many of the Summoner units are low cost. But it's a pretty viable strategy, I think, to kind of make like top 4s. Maybe not quite that great to win games outright. Alright, so we take another loss. Not quite on a losing streak. We do see a bunch of Knights here, but I'm looking around and I see 3 people picking up Knights. I don't want to get involved with that. Let's take our free reroll. More Knights. No, I think what I want to do here, actually, I'm not really seeing anybody looking at mages or spirits, so I'm actually just going to sell off. I probably could have the Razor and sell off the Arc Ward. I didn't count quite right. Just sell to get up to 10 gold for interest here. You know, if we lose again, it's whatever. We're not in that much danger. And we'll just look towards either going Hunters with like a Warrior frontline, or we'll look towards spirits if we can find some more spirits. But the pair of Earth Spirits is a good start to that. Let's find some insects, which could also be fine here. Another Ogre Cap, not quite what I want, but Barricade is really good with the Hunters. It's not even the worst with spirits, because you can like kind of box in your Keeper of Light and maybe Crystal Maiden to kind of keep them safe. So like I'm not altogether opposed to that no matter what build we end up with. We do see a 2-star Earth Spirit here, so definitely gonna pick that up. And also a Wind Ranger. Let's take our free reroll. Not really a lot here. towards either build. You know, with a 2-star Earth Spirit, I mean, he's not great outside of Spirit builds, but I'm kind of thinking that with the shorter cooldown and for playing Warriors, like, he might not be the worst to kind of bridge you to the late game. Like, if you want to, you know, use him until you can get a Tide Hunter or something else, some other kind of big tanky warrior, big CC warrior, I think he's okay. And here we see these barricades actually pulling down a lot of work here, protecting the Drow Ranger from at least a couple hits, but I think she's going to go down after this. I think we still lose. Yeah, that's actually kind of good. Kind of want to keep the losing streak. It doesn't hurt to pick up extra Heartless. Ooh, even more Heartless. And Nyx Assassin. Okay, definitely not playing Knights. Did I just sit at 20 gold here? I think I just sit at 20 gold. A lot of people on Heartless, but that's because it's so good. Yeah, I think you just sit on 20. We'll buy these extra ones. After interest is locked in, use our reroll. We do find a Drow. Also find an Ember Spirit. Still going to keep that option open. Maybe go Spirit build. Oh no! The Pudge Hook from the barricades. It's the classic counter. But that's okay. We're actually on a losing streak, and I'm kind of okay with that. More rerolls means better chance of finding these mages, these spirits, which is probably going to be a lot less contested. It seems like everyone's either on Heartless or on Knights, and that means like spirits are going to be very well available. There's a Crystal Maiden which goes into a spirit build. Insects are okay, but I think in the interest of interest, I'm just going to get rid of them and not be too concerned. Especially because their main power is an early win streak with insects, and clearly that's gone out the window. So I'd rather just, you know, keep my options open and my gold total high. Let's buy that, take the reroll, find a little bit of everything. I guess I could pick up the Abaddon earlier when there was that Knights pack. I forgot about that. We do get a win against an opponent running just a single unit, so they're lose streaking even harder than us. Yeah, it's alright. I mean, we did just find a couple upgraded units, so maybe it's time that we get in gear and start actually winning. That might be with 4 Heartless here, or that might be like we'll just level up to 5, throw in the Pudge and the Abaddon. I could see that. It only cost me 1 gold of interest to do this. Gets me 4 Heartless. That seems pretty reasonable to me, I think. Yeah. I'm just going to leave everybody on this backline here just to really draw people close to the Drow Ranger. Just to make sure somebody's in range for. And because we did break our losing streak and we got the win, that's when I'm like, I need to like switch gears. You don't want to go win, lose, win, lose. So you want to go, you know, if I'm going all losses and then I got to win, now it's time to start winning. The worst thing would be to go back to losing right after this, and just like waste time where we could potentially be getting more gold. So I do want to, you know, spend a little bit of extra resources here just to try to get on that winning streak, and it looks like that's going to pay off here. We definitely would not have won if we stayed at level 4, and luckily we stopped their win streak as well. So that's perfect. I can pick up something like Tiny, even though it's not that great. All right, items. Stonewall Pike seems pretty decent. You know, we got a lot of kills on the Drow Ranger. Stonewall Cloak is not quite as great. We don't have too many frontliners that have kills, or like melee units that have kills. So now we find the Crystal Maiden, and I think we got to make a decision whether or not we go Hunters or Mages. And I mean, I feel like we just have so many more Hunters, and I feel like it's a really strong comp. I guess I don't need to quite make the decision just yet. I can sell off this Tiny still, stay at 30 gold. Buying the Crystal Maiden doesn't cost me any gold. I can just, you know, buy it for 1 gold and then resell the 2-star Crystal Maiden for 3. So I'm still in, you know, still breaking even there. So buy that, buy the Life Stealer, and we'll also get an Underlord choice. So if we get like a damage support in Essex, we definitely want to go Hunters because she's really good with Hunters and Heartless. If we get like all out attack NO is our only good choice, then maybe we go more towards the spirit build, because that's really good to buy a lot of time for the spirits to do their Delta Slams. So we'll just maybe let our Underlord choice decide, or what our next pack is decide. We're kind of even in terms of like number and quality of units between the two different strategies. You know, the Ember Spirit, Crystal Maiden, and Earth Spirit. We do see the Rabid Furball NO, which I'm gonna pick because I think he's the better option here. We don't have damage support in Essex, so this, I think NO does a little bit better with spirit builds. But then we find a Necrophos, which is like, hey, play more Heartless. So, you know what? I kind of want to just play 6 Heartless right now. Kind of just want to do it. And we even have this... did I get this on Necrophos in time? I hope I did. Because Void Stone is actually really good on Necrophos. I did not get it to him in time. That's unfortunate. 6 Heartless with all-out attack NO is pretty funny, because, you know, all of his damage is physical from all-out attack and the poison. So, yeah. We're gonna do that, and he is going to top our DPS charts. We might actually lose here, though, because Necrophos was not quite as impactful as he was supposed to be. No! It's rough. 6 Heartless, though. I'll take it. Alright. So, am I ever going to want this Earth Spirit again? Maybe. Like I said, he could provide a little bit more frontline if we need it at some point, but I think my next unit in is going to be the Wind Ranger. And then after that, it's going to just be off to the races with bigger and better things. Let's take our free reroll, and yeah, I think I just stick with 6 Heartless right now. I think I want to like rearrange this a little bit such that if opponents have Pudge Hooks, like we said, a lot of opponents have Heartless, and so they've got a lot of Pudges. I would rather them Pudge Hook the Shadow Demon, who's quite a bit tankier, and you know his big value is in a single big cast, whereas the Drow Ranger needs the constant auto attacks to be relevant. So like that's why we lost that last fight, was Drow Ranger got Pudge Hooked, which like demolished us. NO's all-out attack, great pickup here in the this Heartless focus build. I do think damage support in Essex is a little better if you go more Hunters, but with the 6 Heartless, I think NO is a better pickup. We didn't even have damage support in Essex as an option. But NO is also really good, like I said, in Spirits, just to do that AoE stun, buy time for your cooldowns to come back up, do another Delta Slam, and hold them in place. But also really good in Heartless builds, so all things looking pretty good here. Even though we got a losing record, we are in 2nd place overall. I think I'm just looking to level up for next turn, maybe put in the Wind Ranger to get a little bit more auto attack damage out. And we're looking for either Void, you know, if we want to go for some Void. But I think with the NO, I kind of just want to stick with 6 Heartless, really. I think that's probably a better bet. Void used to be really good, but of course it got a little bit nerfed with the Hunter nerf. I still want to go up to, you know, more Hunters between Drow Ranger and Wind Ranger and eventually Mirana or Medusa. Something along those lines, but I don't think the 4 Vigilant is going to be a thing. That would require Templar Assassin, and I don't think we're going that way. Doesn't seem like that's really in the cards here. Once again, the reason that we have all of our units kind of on the back line here is that we want to draw opponents forward to get them closer to our barricades so that our Drow Ranger doesn't have to walk forward here. There's a lot of good options. I actually think I'm going to pick up the Leg Breakers Fedora here, because I'm probably going to be playing Lifestealer for the rest of the game, and another Brute is not really going to fit in, I don't think. So I would just like to get the Brute Alliance like that. And it goes pretty well on somebody like Wind Ranger, who's going to be, you you know, quickly swapping targets thanks to Vigilant Alliance and can just apply it at range, and she attacks pretty quick. So like her attacks are going to apply this brute debuff very quick, very often to a lot of targets. This kind of backfired here because the opponent had a lot of ranged units, so like my Shadow Demon doesn't even get into range here. Even though like I had everybody in backline, nobody walked forward. Shadow Demon couldn't start attacking until just now when he did his first auto attack. So that's, I mean, not really expected for it to take that long, you know, for somebody to walk forward. I don't think there's much I would change, though. I mean, I could move him closer to the middle, but then that exposes Windranger to getting Pudge hooked, which I'm not really happy about that. Oh, there's a Mirana. I would be okay with Mirana got Pudge hooked, because she can just leap away. And she has a longer range. She has a 1 cell larger radius. You can see that the highlighted cells can reaches up to here, whereas Shadow Demon has just 3 unit range, so you can only attack 3 squares away, whereas Mirana and Drow Ranger can attack 4 units away. So a little bit better from that perspective, to have him close to the middle, Mirana in the corner. And of course, like I said, Mirana gets out of Pudge hooks quite a bit better. Okay, definitely want to rush up to level 8 as soon as we can. That'll allow us to get this Windranger back in there and get up to 3 Hunters to complete another damage-dealing alliance. And, of course, just pick up any 2-star units that we find along the way. We've got a pair of Lifestealer, but we really don't have too many other pairs of our Heartless. Looking for a Lich as well. Lich could, in theory, replace Pudge or Abaddon, I guess. There's a Tide Hunter, another good option if we do get to the late game if we find a Medusa. I think a Medusa would be a better bet than Windranger, since we're not really looking for 4 Vigilant, we're just looking to keep it 2. So Medusa would be an ideal 3rd Hunter, but of course until we get to that point. We'll use the Windranger, and then Tide Hunter could potentially come in. And looking for a Lich maybe to replace Abaddon, since we don't have him to 2-star, and there's so many Knight players that are, well, at least some of them are grabbing Abaddons. So I don't really want to compete on that front to try to get him into 3-star. Although 3-star Abaddon, if you watched my last video, you know that 3-star Abaddon is a very fun unit, for sure. Does lots of damage. Very, very high DPS. I know all-out attack is just constantly top of the damage charts here. Could not quite get the win. Very, very close. I'm getting 56 life. There's only a couple more seconds of poison ticks on him. Alright, another Necrophos here. That's great. Free reroll. Double Pudge. Sign me up for that. I think with Double Pudge I want to move him slightly more forward just to focus a bit more attacks on him. And then, yeah, I'm just looking at some levels here. In 2 turns, on around 18, we probably level up, throw in the Windranger. Potentially, you can go faster than that. You can get it earlier. This one has an Enigma right on the Pudge. No, it backfires. The Enigma just deals a ton of damage against really high health targets. So the Pudge obviously gets punished for that. That being said, the opposing Snapfire got shot down pretty hard by these barricades, keeping my Drow Ranger, who has a ton of kills, he's already got 25 kills racked up, keeping her safe. She's about 1/3 of the way to a Divine Rapier, basically. It gets plus, 100-something damage, so getting up to that Divine Rapier level of 330 damage. Alright, I just pick up Lone Druid just because he's a good unit, although I don't think the way the game is currently progressing that we're very likely to play Lone Druid. I pick up Mechanism, which is an okay item, but I think we can do better with a reroll. We find another Legbreaker's Fedora, that's not really better. I'll pick up a Maelstrom here, just because we're going to have a fast attacking Hunter. We don't need another Fedora because we already have the one, and I think I want to play just the Lifestealer here. This Maelstrom eventually wants to go on the other Hunter, but I don't want to level up this turn to put it in. It's not really great on any of these units. It's okay on Necros. I'm looking at the attack rate. We're looking for the highest number of attacks per second. And like all my units are really low except for the Hunters. But I'd rather have the Brute Hat. I guess actually maybe I should put for this turn I should have put the Maelstrom on Miran, the Brute Hat on Shadow Demon. Kind of a minor point, I guess, for just one turn. Because next turn we're going to level up and put in the Wind Ranger and sorts it all out. But until that point, I guess, you know, that could have been a little bit better. Alright, let's pump our XP up to 34, 35, so we'll naturally level up. We take the win here. We need to throw in a Wind Ranger with a Maelstrom here in just a second. Give her the Maelstrom. And hope on this level up we can find one of these pairs to upgrade. Willing to sell off the Lone Druid if I need to grab interest. Want to keep the Tidehunter just as an option for if and when we level up to 9. We can throw in the Tidehunter plus some Medusa to get scaled, plus also some CC up front. Sand King is a good CC unit, but that's not quite what I'm looking for. No, I think I'll just, I mean, I could reroll a little bit here since, like I said, I have so many pairs. I think I'll sell off the Lone Druid and then just reroll twice here. Did not find any. Thought it was worthwhile risk here to hopefully find an upgrade, but oh well. Since I'm not really tied to the Lone Druid anyway, and it doesn't cost me any interest. That being said, 6 Heartless is just, man, people get shredded by 6 Heartless here. I think the Brute debuff from Mirana being spread on the backline is also pretty impactful. Just like pretty much every target that she tries to hit just has so little damage output. So she may not be topping the damage charts, but it's making opposing damage output really low, giving them that 30% damage debuff, making up for a little bit of the lack of tankiness on our front line, just the Pudge really, with no defensive items. Another Shadow Demon. Once again, I think I'm just taking a couple rerolls until we find 1 or 2 upgrades. There we go. Alright, let's sell off the Shadow Demon. I don't know if it's really likely we get a 3-star Drow Ranger. There's one other person on it. I think it's probably better to just grab the higher gold of interest and just focus on leveling and try to get, because like the tier 1 unit odds drop dramatically when I level up to 9, and I think I want to level up to 9 relatively quickly just to get the higher odds on the Medusa and the Tidehunter. So I just don't think it's very realistic to get her up to 3-star, and the fact that it would cost me extra gold here just does not seem right. I guess if I had known for sure I would win the round, I could have held on to her, collected the interest, and still bought post-combat, but I wasn't sure, and I mean, I guess I can buy this extra one now. But I'm just trying to explain the thought process that I don't think this is realistic to get her 3-starred because of the unit odds decreasing at a higher level. Even though we are winning, I'm going to be focusing on leveling and rerolling for higher cost units rather than trying to look for a 3-star Drow Ranger. She won't even be the biggest carry by the end of the game. I mean, she's pretty good now because the Stonehold Cloak, or Stonehold Pike rather, does work pretty good with her. But since we found a couple of upgrades, the Mirana, the Lifestealer, Abaddon's not really going anywhere. We're looking to replace that with a Lich. I mean, I could reroll a bit more for these two, but since I've found some of the upgrades, I think there's better equity in leveling up, especially because Necrophos will be more likely to be found at a higher level. Same with Tidehunter, same with Medusa, who's going to be a straight replacement for the Wind Ranger. So since we found the upgrades, it makes sense to start leveling now. Nice, there Pudge hooked my Abaddon. That's another advantage of being very well spread out, is that sometimes the farthest unit is actually just my unit on the other end, and they can take my Abaddon, and I'm not that concerned about that Pudge hook. Mirana? Hello? Oh. She just didn't attack for a little bit. I mean, I'm glad she finally did. But she was just sitting there not attacking. So I think what happened was like she... Something in her targeting algorithm told her she needed to attack the NSX. And like she couldn't get out. Even though there's somebody within range of her. So that was interesting. That was an interesting little bug. I don't know exactly how to replicate that, but it is very interesting. Nah, I think we can do better. We can pick up another Maelstrom, but I'm looking for attack speed items. Mask of Madness, pretty good. We got a Life Stealer. Normally could go on Drow Ranger, but of course she's got enough kills that makes more sense to have that on her. The Stone Hall item. Oh, oops. I spent one too many gold. Definitely looking to get up to level 9. 2 turns here. Or next turn. Depends on... Since we have the bonus win streak gold, we maybe could just force the level next turn. If we win here. I think we'd have enough gold to do that. We'd just end up throwing in like a 1-star Tide Hunter or 1-star Wind Ranger, but yeah, it's acceptable. Actually, doesn't look like I'm winning this. I say that, and then All Out Attack Enno comes out and just wins the fight on his own, because he's like our biggest damage dealer. Alright, we do win. It was looking bad initially, I'll say, but... And then I'm like, oh yeah, Enno's still up. We're probably going to win this. So I'm actually just going to level up to 9 right now, and then we should collect enough gold to get there. I thought so. Or am I bad at math? I think I'm bad at math, actually. 13 gold. Okay, I'm bad at math. Oops. Whatever. We're a little bit inefficient. What do I care? There's an Abaddon. Just pick up another Mirana. Actually, I just want to throw another Mirana in right now, actually. She is pretty good. Give her the Maelstrom as well. Bit more survivable than the Wind Ranger. So yeah, I lost the gold leveling up there. With how far ahead we are, I'm not going to be crying over that. F1 has a Lich. I wish I had a Lich instead of this extra Abaddon, which I almost forgot to buy. All Out Attack comes out, and the opposing team dies. Yeah, mostly dead. Poison's so big. Drow Ranger really farming up those kills. Already has plus 171 damage. I mean, I wish I could get her to 3-star, but I didn't think it was very realistic. But if she did, oh boy, she would absolutely demolish the game. Alright. Now we are level 9, open for Medusa, more Tides. I would play a second 2-star Mirana, you know? That would be a fine 9th unit if we don't end up finding enough Tide Hunters to get to 2-star. So, because Mirana is just insanely high damage, good CC, good survivability. We could pick up the Templar Assassin, but I don't think Vigilance is all that important. We already have it on our most important damage dealers. You know, out of all of the units, I mean, I guess except Enno, but most of his damage comes from All Out Attack. Almost all of our important damage dealers already have the Vigilant Alliance, so I'd rather just play a second Mirana rather than play an extra Templar Assassin if we're not going to be playing Void. Because I don't really think Void's that important here. Most of the tanky compositions have fallen out, the 6 Knights, and we're up against a little bit, you know, squishier compositions that don't have like very high resistance, I guess, except this Brawny build. Or that's not even Brawny build, this is an Assassin build that just demolished us. Holy cow. What the heck was that? 6 Assassins? I saw Brawny because I saw the Snapfire, but no, 6 Assassins. Okay, well that's, yeah, that does look pretty well like a completed build. You know, 2-star Slark, 2-star Templar, and so on. So, it could be a little bit rough. I'm hoping though with a Medusa eventually that AoE stun from a Medusa would just really make a huge difference in this fight. And we got so much life total that I'm okay to kind of play with that. Here's the Necro. Take a reroll. Don't need more Pudges. Don't need more Necros. 3-star on him is a little bit out of reach. Tidehunter though, we'll wait till interest locks in and buy that. Tidehunter would be another just, you know, a big stun to deal with those assassins. Alright, so here's actually one of the summoner builds I was talking about earlier with summoners being, you know, I thought they were pretty reasonable. It's kind of, there's some weird choices here. It does have a Chaos Knight and a 2-star Morphling. I guess gives the Primordial Alliance, but I don't really think that's worthwhile here. Looks like we should be taking it down pretty well. The Void Alliance is actually pretty bad against summoners. That's another reason that Void is slightly falling out of favor for me, is that Summoner is picking up a little bit in popularity, that Void is just really bad against them because the Void bonus damage, like, whenever your opponent has like 360 health, a Void proc does very little damage. Whereas the 6 Heartless bonus increases your damage by a whole lot more. It increases by a percentage of your damage output and not by a percentage of your opponent's health. So definitely want to pick up the Moon Shard here. Definitely looking for fast attack speed on some of these hunters. Eventually on, probably on Medusa, or I guess on Mirana is pretty good. We can put the Brute Hat on Medusa at some point, or we'll find somewhere to put it. Let's take some rerolls. Wait, did I miss a Tidehunter? I feel like I missed a Tidehunter. I think I did. I did miss a Tidehunter. Oh man, I was stupid. I'm like, wait, why don't I have 2 on my bench? I was talking too much. That'll teach me to start talking while I'm recording a video where I'm supposed to be talking and providing commentary. I just like saw the Tidehunter on my bench and I'm like, wait a second, I'm supposed to have one on the... Oh... Yeah, my opponent's a Vesture of the Tyrant. That's interesting. Who's their Vesture on? It's Viper. So Vesture's such a weird item to have in Assassins because your Assassins jump all over the place at like kind of random spots that like planning out where they're gonna land for like Vesture is just, it seems like very difficult to do. Alright, there's the Tidehunter. Alright, so no more Mirana. We're not gonna get a 3-star Mirana. That was pretty unlikely most of the case anyway. So while I normally do say that, you know, the applying Brute debuff at range is pretty good, you know, if it's on Tidehunter who's really tanky up in the front line, I'm okay with that too. Just, you know, keep himself alive by debuffing them. I think I prefer these attack damage items on the backliners rather than a brute hat on any of these hunters. Definitely want the Moon Shard, the Stonehall Pike, and Maelstrom on my hunters rather than a Brute Hat. Ooh, it's not going so well. So low on life. Cannot quite get it. Alright. Starting to fall out of first place lead here. I guess I'm hoping for maybe a Refresher Orb for this Tide. 2-star Wind Ranger, that's acceptable. It actually seems pretty realistic for me to level up again. Right, I think I have enough time, and like it cost me 35 gold next turn. Now, I know I did sell off the extra Mirana. And Keeper of Light doesn't really do anything for me in terms of alliances, but you know, a 2-star Keeper of Light is still just a really good unit. I feel like leveling up is reasonable. I feel like I have enough gold, I have enough life total that it makes sense. Like it's not going to be negatively impacting my chance to win the game if I level up again. Whereas like sometimes you're like, oh, I leveled up and nothing happened. See, this is where our Vesture's bad. I was talking about Vesture. We just faced them again, and they didn't get any Vesture triggers because their Viper was just in the wrong spot at the wrong time because of the way the random assassins jump. That's why I didn't think it's very good in Assassins, and it was weird for me to see that. Anyway, we do level up. I guess I throw in a Keeper of Light. It's good. Don't worry about it. It's good. Or, you know, we just find like another Tidehunter, Disruptor, Sand King, Medusa. Something good to throw in. Disruptor. Or Mirana. Well, I think all of these are better than these ones, and I can even put the Brute hat back on her then. Oh, and there's the Medusa. Alright, let's put Medusa in. Let's give Medusa the Maelstrom. Ah, this works. Okay, sweet. So I'll give her a little bit more damage output, and every one of the split shots has a chance to trigger the Maelstrom, even though not all 3 of them can, because there's like an internal cooldown on how often that can trigger. But it'll still trigger almost every auto attack from her. It'll trigger the Maelstrom because they each have a shot at it. Here's the stun, and then her damage output still insane, and that should just about do it. Nice. Alright, so I don't think I really need these disruptors or these extra Tide Hunters. I was really just hoping to find the Medusa, which would give me the 4th hunter. And actually that was not nearly as much Maelstrom damage as I had hoped. That was a pretty low amount comparatively. Alright, so let me take a quick look at what we're up against here. Another hunter build and an assassin build. Okay, so I think I want Tombstone. Tombstone's really good against both hunters and assassins. Against the Void, it has a lot of summon units, and also it's just kind of like a tank for your backline here to provide you a little bit of survivability against the hunters as they try to march forward against you, giving these guys a bit more time. I don't need this disruptor, right? We were playing the Medusa instead. I'm just going to reroll for the Medusa or Lich. Okay, so we find a Medusa. So we'll lock for that. And, alright, we're up against another Hunter build. They've got a 2-star Lich, that's pretty good, but I think we should be alright. They punch hook my Mirana, but then she gets herself right out of there. Not a problem. I know all-out attack is about to come out. That should be a big turning point in this fight. And then their Golem comes out, but that's a little bit late. I know already constructed their backlines enough, and the Tombstone, yeah, maybe didn't do quite as much in this particular formation. But I positioned it on the assumption I was going to play against the Assassins, but a little bit further back. If I was going to face this build again, I would probably move it forward a couple squares and maybe, maybe over here or something like that. Or maybe a bit better positioning. Okay, find the Medusa. Let's take one reroll here. Another one. No, I'm not going to reroll anymore here. We got plenty of life total to play with. So since we just faced them, I think we're probably going to face the Assassins next. So I'm just going to kind of preemptively assume that, place it here. And yeah, I think it's a good positioning against the Assassins. Maybe I could actually swap Enno and Tidehunter. That may be better against the Assassins. Yeah, probably would have actually been better. Because Enno just got demolished by the Assassins. But I still think we crushed them here. They have no way to get through this backline, and we got the defense, so yeah. Their Vesture the Tyrant got like 1 unit to stay alive, so we did beat them, but they are up against the other board. I want to go check how that fight's going. Okay, so the Assassins get eliminated, so it's just 1v1 me against the other Hunter build. So I need to reevaluate my positioning a little bit here. Like I said, I was thinking to move the Tombstone forward a little bit, but right now I just want to reroll and hope to hit my tier 5 units. I did not. Alright, let me take a look. Oh, what? There we go. So, I mean, yeah, I think we just do something like this. It's a little bit stronger, right? These units are probably going to die right here, and Tidehunter is a little bit more centrally located to their board. Mirana still gets punch hooked out, then she jumps away. Oh wait, she just died instantly. Never mind, she did not jump out. They have double Miranas. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Yeah, I don't think all-out attack's gonna win this one for me. What the heck happened? What happened to our Mirana? She dealt like nothing. Huh. I don't know. I saw her get punch hooked and then she just died. Like, in a blink of an eye. So I'm not entirely sure. Alright, I think the game plan here is still to play this a little bit closer to the chest here. I think we just throw Shadow Demon into the corner to get Pudge hooked. Because clearly Mirana just got blown up way too fast. Yeah, I think she just got focus fired by like literally everybody all at once and just it was too much, you know? That seemed to be what happened. They have double Mirana. Oh yeah, alright. Well, I think we had a good run, but I think this is all she wrote here for this game. Interesting. So, you know, our build definitely could not quite compete with them in the very late game. I thought we had a pretty good combo here. Of course, we were still missing the 2-star Medusa, 2-star Lich. But what did they have really? It was really a similar-ish build. They just had 4 Heartless, but instead they were opting for, you know, a bit more powerful units. They had instead of the 6 Heartless, they had an extra Mirana. They had a Lone Druid with Fresher Orb. They had Io, which gave them the Druid Alliance. Of course, they did not have the Wind Ranger, so they had kind of the Wind Ranger for a second Mirana. That's a good upgrade. And then, yeah, the 2-star Lich, the 2-star Lone Druid, and Io. That's an interesting variation here. I don't think it was really the Nesix difference. I think it was slightly better unit choice. The second Mirana, really impactful in that late game. So yeah, cool. It just goes to show, Heartless Hunters, pretty strong at all points of the game here. That's an interesting variation that beat me here, and so, you know, may want to try that variant out in the future. So hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.